The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate your game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%.
Now, let's start the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I have a great guest for us today, but first and foremost, I do have to get in the newest sponsor that we just landed here for the Ride Home Rants podcast, and that is Web Western, a clothing apparel line made for everyone who is not afraid of hard work, for those who like to live outdoors, hunting, fishing, and just general working on the land. They have also started a golfing line too as well. So if you'd like to get out and hit the links, check them out at webwestern.com. Company that is a no BS company. And again, webwestern.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and you will save yourself 10%. Webwestern.com, promo code Mike Bono. That being said, my guest today is coming to us from Baldwin Wallace University. He is the defensive coordinator and the assistant football coach there, and that is Ethan Nichol joins the show. Ethan, thank you for joining, man.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
All right, so I mean, we're gonna get into your background here a little bit here too as well, but tell everyone a little bit about yourself first and foremost for the people that may not know you.
Yeah. So born and raised in the state of Ohio. One of four children. Father worked in basement waterproofing. Mother was a teacher. Um, you know, spent my childhood in Delaware, Ohio, and went off to college, played ball there, sustained a number of shoulder injuries. And I actually had a dream, of getting into sports broadcasting. At one point, was the general manager of the college radio station there, called just about every game I could get my hands on, whether it was basketball, baseball, anything that was outside of football season. We've done women's lacrosse, which, for someone, if you don't have a real background in that, right, is it's tough. Not necessarily knowing exactly the scheme of the game. It's a lot of just explaining who's passing the ball to who at that point.
Yeah.
But it was a good experience. I think all those shoulder injuries had kind of unearthed to me something I knew deep down all along, was that football was more than just a hobby. It was a calling for me. And so I did an about face going into like my junior year, got into an education background, went through all of that with the intention of just coaching high school football, and was just fortunate enough that my college head coach had recommended to me, the possibility of college coaching. Specifically had mentioned, hey, if teaching is what you want to do, you might be able to get a master's degree out of this. And so I kind of explored the possibilities and put my name in for a few jobs, and was lucky enough that upon graduation, Heidelberg University over in Tiffin, one of our competitors in conference, had an opening. And, long story short, I get out on campus, they offer me a job, and I got an immersive experience there. 2 years as a graduate assistant working in the defensive backfield, basically wearing every hat you could ever imagine. And I loved it. I loved my time there. I loved the people, the players, the coaches I worked for and with. Like, I couldn't have asked for a better way to be baptized into college football from the coaching perspective. And it just so happened that as my graduate assistantship was running out, that they had an opening for a full-time position. So the stars kind of aligned, and I accepted the full-time spot there. And I was there for 2 more years as a linebackers coach. And then just, as fate have it, right? I never went out looking for a different job. I was always happy where I was. But had a colleague of mine who I actually came up with as a GA at Heidelberg, who had kind of worked his way around the coaching profession a little bit. And, he got on at the University of Wyoming, knew that there was going to be an opening there, and kind of alerted me about it. So interviewed for it. Was lucky enough that my resume stayed on someone's desk during a coaching transition there. So actually the folks I interviewed with weren't even the folks that hired me. I just happened to kind of be lucky that my resume didn't get dusted up by the custodial staff over there. And nonetheless, going into March of 2020, I started over at the University of Wyoming. Consequently, the same time as COVID hit the world. So it's crazy. I remember driving out and I got about 10 or 12 hours into the trip. I stopped in Omaha, Nebraska, and Omaha was actually one of the first places to house COVID patients. Like, as this was becoming a whole ordeal, right? They needed to go to like a top flight medical facility. And so it just so happened that relative to where these people were afflicted with COVID, the closest facility of a certain degree, of a certain level, was at Omaha, right? So it was like, little did I know that like hearing that on the radio passing through Omaha was going to flip the whole world upside down. So was there for like, I don't know, maybe a month before everything shut down. Came back for a little while to Ohio. Imagine getting a rental car during that. I remember driving back from Wyoming to Ohio, which is again like a 24-hour trip, round trip. It's like I felt like I was in like The Walking Dead. There was no one on the roads, no one. But neither here nor there. So, eventually the world starts back up. But in the process, right, following that first season there, my wife and I were blessed that we got to be pregnant. Our firstborn son was on the way, and we kind of made a decision that, no matter where coaching took us, we wanted to make sure we stayed central to family. We kind of wanted to know that our kids weren't going to know our parents or our siblings only through FaceTime or only through once a year visits, right? So we started looking for work back home, and just again got lucky that my college head coach recommended me for the job here at BW, and came in and interviewed in 2022, and started that summer and spring, and been here now going on 5 years. So that's the long and short of it. Brings you up to current day at least. So.
Gotcha. You started to sound like you were reading my resume there for a little bit with wanting to be a sports broadcaster. That's actually what I got my degree in, was journalism and sports broadcasting. Um,
Nice.
Thought that's what it was for me. And, shoulder injuries. I was a competitive swimmer, a collegiate swimmer.
Okay.
Senior year of high school, thought I still, want to play football with my buddies and everything like that, even though swimming was the sport of choice for me. And ended up hurting my shoulder, losing my senior season, losing a bunch of scholarships there too as well. Ended up going to Bethany College, and sports broadcasting and sports have just always been something that's been, ingrained in me. And I always said, love the game of football. I always said I would have made a better coach than I did a player at football, a habitual special teamer, kick coverage and everything like that too as well. But knew my role and executed it, but ended up sustaining an injury that was pretty detrimental to my swimming career. But you live and you learn, and now here, lo and behold, a lot of years later, running a podcast, so I get to talk about sports too now.
There
So
you go.
it comes full circle with that. But yeah, I love that. And you sound like you had a pretty great start, and COVID kind of, I don't want to say it helped you, but it kind of guided your career into the direction that it's going.
Yeah, it's funny. My wife always says, like, you're exactly where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. So, I don't know that I ever really had a plan in any of this, to be honest with you. I set off to be a high school coach, and here I am a decade into college coaching, so it's kind of
Yeah,
going where the wind takes me a little bit.
absolutely. I get that for sure. And being a football guy, I got to know your thoughts with it being this recent. What did you think of the Patriots Super Bowl, Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl this past couple weeks now?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's easy for me to be a critic on the outset, right? It felt like Drake May wasn't entirely accurate, and I think there's some blame to be shouldered there because I think the Patriots are better than what they put on tape that day, right?
Yeah.
But he was inaccurate, and that'll always stifle an offense's momentum. And then anytime you start getting behind the eight ball from a scoring standpoint, right? Like, it wasn't until that Mac Hollins touchdown that it felt like it was dead to rights. And even then, they controlled the clock, the run game, Seattle that is, and the rest was history. So, like, the other piece of it is, it was interesting to me that
Uh, Froze up on me there, Ethan. Can you hear me? Think I might have lost you there. Can you hear me?
I got you.
I got yeah. It froze up on me there for a second. I don't know what what happened there, but we got you back there. Um yeah, wonderful world of technology. Favorite thing is technology is great when it works. Um but yeah, we're talking about the Patriots Seahawks Super Bowl. I don't think Drake May, I don't necessarily want to say that I think the magnitude of the stage got to him, but he did not look like what I saw on tape for the entirety of the season.
Yeah, I mean, was in contention for the MVP, right? And they said
Right.
there was whispers of a shoulder injury, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, hey, if you're good enough to play, you're good enough to play. If it's the Super
Right.
Bowl on the line, there's enough adrenaline coursing through your veins that you kind of
Right.
forget about any injuries or bumps or bruises at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like at that point in time of the season, is there anybody 100%? You know what I mean?
Nah.
There's nobody that's 100%. So you can blame it on whatever you want to blame it on. But I mean, the end of the day, I think being as young as he is, it's a learning experience for him. And I think he'll be better for it. But that's, neither here nor there. I mean, we all can sit back and talk about it now all we want after a couple weeks after the Super Bowl and everything like that. But yeah, it's it's tough to see because I like Drake, man. I liked him coming out into the draft. I thought the Patriots got a steal with him, and picking him, and I think he'll do great. But I think he was just a little too young for that experience there. But I think he'll be better for it.
That and the fact that the Seahawks keep getting home with the same pressure. I mean, there's
Oh
got to be
my!
some
When you get a
coaching
4-man
decisions that,
rush, that's just bring that you can't stop. Like, I mean, you're not going to have a passing game if you can get in with four. Like, that's just unheard of at that level with a 4-man rush getting
Mhm.
in. In the Super Bowl. Come on now.
Sure, sure. But even the blitzes they were bringing, it felt like there was some of the same patterns that were coming home free, and there was.
I think I lost you again, Ethan. Can you hear me? Man, I don't know if we lost them or what's going on here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man. I'm gonna try on my phone here and see if that's a little better than. I'm gonna see if that'll be better for the sake of technology.
No, you're good. No worries on that. Yeah, I got you good there now. I don't know if which end is going on because my internet. We've been having terrible wind here in central Ohio the past couple of days. So,
Where you at in Central Ohio?
I'm about an hour outside of Columbus, a little town called Philo, Ohio.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we used to go hunting out in Cambridge.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so we used. I'm not kidding. We used to sight our guns in on the embankment over off of 77 and 40 there. So
yeah. Okay,
yeah,
absolutely. All right, so yeah, we got you back here. So we are good to go there now. Yeah, getting into the Super Bowl. I could talk about that all day, but I want to get into you here a little bit. You're a proud dad and husband. I believe we've talked about it before we started rolling here. Just had third third child, and what's it like and being a dad, husband, and the joys that brings you with the coaching career too.
I say we're rich on love and poor on sleep right now. It's I don't know what I ever expected in terms of what it would be to be a dad, but I think it has far surpassed any expectation I could have had. It's funny. My father-in-law used to tell me that the greatest joy is when you get home from work and they come pitter-pattering around the corner
Yeah,
and they're so fired up to see you, and words don't begin to express how special that feeling is, because especially because it's fleeting, right? Like it won't be there for forever. So constantly you're always forcing yourself to remember that amidst any tantrums you're dealing with, or just the other night they're up in the middle of the night throwing up, and it's like they're only going to be this little once, and
yeah,
you got to enjoy that. So it's been really cool because you mix coaching into all of that, right? And like uh they to them, I'm coaching for the New York Jets, right? Like it is the be all end all for them. And so they get to know a lot of the players. I brought my oldest into meetings. He would be in there watching film with us. And it's like each of the coaches have a special relationship with my kids, where my middle son loves being able to call up our quarterbacks coach, but our oldest son loves our O-line coach and offensive coordinator because, he'll let him wrestle him, and the OC sells it like he's, mid-90s Shawn Michaels here, So it's just cool because for whatever you do lose, maybe in terms of time with them, you gain in the number of relationships they develop, and the other models, right? Um, the other people they have to look up to besides just you, right? Upstanding people, hopefully in your organization as players or as coaches that set an example beyond what you said. Because no one's perfect, right? Like everyone's a fallible human being, but to see that there's more examples of goodness and potentially even the influence that maybe their dad has on them, like I don't know, that's where you gain anything you lost and then some back, if you know what I mean.
yeah, I get that. I I'm getting that now with my son being a stand-up comedian too as well. I mean, I couldn't exactly be taking him into bars and clubs when he was younger to get to see what dad does. Now he's getting a little bit older. He can start to be coming to shows and that. But I mean, I still remember the one time I was doing a show. I was actually just hosting the show, and had my wife reported doing TikTok live or something like that to get the show out to a little bit more people. Right when COVID was kind of starting to die down and everything like that, and people were getting out and being able to go and do shows and everything like that. And she ended up taking a picture on her phone, and my son was watching from TikTok live and commented on it. That's my dad right there. That was just something a little comment on a live stream that I was doing that he got to see, because I mean just wasn't old enough to get in there. Now he's almost 17. Sure. He can start to come to the clubs and that and get to see dad do his work when I can get shows and everything like that. So I'm starting to get that now with the work aspect. But I mean, there's nothing like when you get home and the kids are excited to see you.
No doubt.
Long road trips for me, and I'm sure with away games and stuff like that for you getting home from the road, it's a little different, but it's the same.
Absolutely. No, yeah, I mean that it is cool too. I have all these delusions of grandeur, maybe, but I'm hoping that as he gets a little older, and each of them, right, that they can maybe take trips on the bus with me a little bit, right. Be on the sideline as a ball boy or something. Just some of those things where they can continue to be there with you, even though you're busy with the game, right? They're kind of creating those memories right there alongside you.
Yeah, absolutely. Heck, I'm hoping he can work a camera at this point in time. You know what I mean?
Put him to work, right?
Put him to work. You get to see dad do what he does, and we're going to put you to work if you're coming
no doubt.
To work with dad.
No doubt.
Sure. But yeah, it's awesome. Honestly, never thought I would be here, being a comedian, now almost 17-year-old, got a couple step kids too as well. It's just living the dad life is awesome. Never thought I was going to get to this point, growing up. Never thought it was going to be for me. Wouldn't change it for the world. All my kids are awesome, and there's that. But we're going to get back into BW here a little bit for you, because you guys had a pretty good season last season, finishing, I believe it was 8-2. How has this off season been going for you guys to prepare for this upcoming 2026 season?
No, it's been good. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, 8-2, a lot of programs, obviously, and certainly, it is nice to know that we're at the upper half of the league, and what we think, 55 of the last 60 years we've had a winning season. So this is a time honored and tradition rich program. But 8-2, if we're not making noise in the national playoffs, it's a little bit of a shortcoming for us, right? And so, how do we take that next step? That's really been the focus and the emphasis of the off season, whether it's from a developmental standpoint with the guys we have, or getting into the recruiting aspect of it, trying to address some of the deficiencies. The nice thing is we're graduating very little, and not in terms of talent, but in terms of starters. I think on defense, we're going to return 7 or 8 of the starting 11 from last season. And, that was a defense that was top 29 in the country in passing yardage. We gave up the fewest first downs in the league. We had 2 All-Americans, countless all-conference selections. So, there was a lot to be fired up for there. And I think the other thing, offensively, it's similar. I think, again, either 8 or 9 out of the 11 are coming back. And that was a prolific offense. I mean, credit to our offensive coordinator, Matt Brown, who's a BW alum. So I know that anytime they succeed, it's more than just his efforts on display, right? He is a part of that tradition. So to be able to give back to the program in that way, I'm sure is special for him, and I mean, we were like second in the country in third down conversion or red zone percentage, and he was named the assistant coach of the year. So the other thing that we're not turning over, thankfully, is the coaching staff. All but our graduate assistants are coming back, and that's just pretty common across any level, right? Graduate assistants have a limited time contract at any institution they work, and so outside of that, right, like the nucleus of our staff is coming back. So when you have that continuity and the ability to teach and coach, we've been able to get into meeting times, optional meeting times with the guys. And they're hungry to learn. And the nice part is it isn't like we're reinventing the wheel necessarily, but to be able to get time on task so that this stuff is all second nature to them. Like, I don't know, that's kind of been the secret sauce, I would say, right? Is getting really good at what you do. The old Bruce Lee thing, right? Like, I fear not the man who's practiced 10,000 kicks once. I fear the man who's practiced one kick 10,000 times, and I think that our guys have really bought into that. It's not that we're putting a whole lot of new scheme in right now. It's not that we need a whole new line change like in hockey and we got to get fresh faces in the door. It's more about let's get really good at what we do and let's freaking say 8-2 is the floor, right? Where's the ceiling? We can figure that out as we go.
Yeah. That's awesome. And especially returning that many people in this transfer portal college era that we're in, with everyone just looking for the next step, I guess, in their college career. That's huge for any program. Even the coaching staff, you don't have to put in any new schemes. The guys know what the expectations are.
Right.
And it's, I don't want to say not a lot of coaching that needs to happen, but you guys can let them rip and then add pieces here and there that you need, whether that be plays or players or whatever it is. I mean, I'm looking for big things coming out of BW for next year for sure for you guys in 2026.
Yeah, I mean that's the hope, right? It's a matter of just making sure that not necessarily we try to reinvent the wheel or change what we're doing, right? But that we adapt and overcome to whatever. There's inevitably going to be adversity, right? And so it's more so about making sure that you're tuned up and that you get your gears greased up, ready for whatever comes your way, and that you can be adaptable and have a plan. When your first plan doesn't exactly work or things don't go accordingly. So that'll be, I think, that's where you make your money as a coach, right? Is not necessarily the plan you have going into the season, but how you have to adjust or what you become as the season concludes, right? So, needless to say, we're pretty excited. Spring ball's around the corner here, and that's always like dipping your feet back in the water a little bit before you hit the ground running in August.
Yeah, absolutely. I follow everybody that's been on the show and anything that they got going on. I have been following BW because you do work with a former guest of the show, and Steve Thompson, who has been on the show. So what's it like working with Steve? Because he's a big fan of the show. We're big fans of Steve here.
Steve's great. He's an alum of the College of Worcester, just like myself. He's a hoot, man. It's funny. He's great on the golf course, right? Like I actually had a chance to go out and golf with some alums, and to see him work a room, right? And I don't even just mean like from a philanthropy standpoint, right? But just being able to like chop it up with anyone, right? From all backgrounds, angles. I don't know if he had like a dossier of all their backgrounds or something, right? He had done some intel on them ahead of time or something, right? But it's like his mind's a steel trap, and he'll tell you, oh, he's some slappy who just could shoot the ball well enough to go to a school like Worcester or something. But I think he does. His social IQ is through the roof. He can really relate well to people, and I'm sure that's why he was probably a hell of a good time on this podcast because you get him out to the restaurant or something, and you start having a few pops or something, right? Like he's an all-time great guest, whether you're in person or on the pod, right?
Yeah, he was great to have on. I mean, I knew him briefly. I know he was out at Bethany for a little bit when I was there. So got to see him there. He's obviously worked closely with the guy too as well, and the wonderful manager of this podcast here, and Johnny Fitty Falcone. So we know Steve a lot. Loved having him on. One of the few guests in that time when we had him on, because we were really getting into some deeper people. It was just a guy like the whole show. I don't think there was many edits that I had to do to the show. It was like, oh man, this is like sitting down at the at the bar with one of my buddies and just shooting the shit with them. And it was great to have him on, for sure. And we love Steve. We love seeing the success at BW for him too as well. But I mentioned him. The craziness of the manager here at Johnny Fitty Falcone. You've worked with him. I got to know what it was like working with Fitty from your perspective.
Well, the funny thing is, right, is like I didn't find out till like 2-3 days ago. This dude went by Jay Fitty from the city. Like there was, I started peeling back the layers. Right, Fitty's like an ogre, right? Ogres have layers. And the first time I meet the guy, he's wearing this Blues Clues looking rugby sweater. And I'm busting his chops, telling him about, wondering if he found a clue and notebooks and all this other stuff. And, then he's talking to us and he's wearing the Ride Home Rants polo. And I'm like, dude, what do we got going on here? And then so he starts talking to me about that. And then he talks to me about how Uh, he's in charge of marketing, all these different things. And now I'm like, all right, man. And then he starts telling me he was wearing an Italian flag hat. And I'm like, oh, it's big Italian heritage, right? And he goes, no, but like for real. And then he starts pulling out these like prison tats on his calf and all this other stuff. I'm like, dude, who is this guy, man? Then we come to find out he's been a high school head coach. He's been, up and down the ranks in admissions and in coaching and all this other stuff. I'm like, and I have truthfully no idea how old he is. I can't tell if he looks good for his age or what. It's like there's more to Falcone than meets the eye, man. Like, yeah, he's an enigma.
If you try to break down Fitty, you will decades trying to figure this man out. I've known him since college. We both were athletes at Bethany College. We both were in a lot of the same classes at Bethany. We fell apart once we graduated. We reconnected in the weirdest way out of college. I was a car salesman at the time, and he was just in getting service. And I looked and I was like, "That's Fitty." And I went up to him and I just started shooting the shit. And then the next thing you know, a couple years after that, I started this podcast. And he was like, "Hey, man." And he came on as like one of the first guests. And, we've always stayed connected after that. But the man has more energy than anybody I know. Absolutely drives my wife crazy with how much energy he has. Because he's the first person that I talk to in the morning because I have a text from him from 4:30 in the morning. He's already up. His day has started, and I'm not even awake yet. And I wake up to a text from Fitty. But you can't nail him down to anything. College coach, or high school coach, college coach, tattoos everywhere. You wouldn't know that if you just looked at him. Almost 40-year-old. Man, looks pretty good for his age, and just he goes, whatever he does, he gives it 152%, and that's what you're going to get out of him, no matter what it is. And I love Fitty to death. So happy he's come on here and helped out here with the show when he did to get it off the ground like he has. But yeah, I mean, I wish I could bottle some of his energy and sell it as, an energy drink because nobody would have to work ever again out of that because it would just fly off the shelves if everybody had just a smidge of his energy. I love
no doubt. Yeah, I mean, like he calls me at like, geez, it was probably Thursday or Friday, 7:55 in the morning. Like, I'm trying to get out the door, right? And like it's pure chaos at this point. Like I got trying to get my kids breakfast, the lunch packed, whatever else, right? And he's talking to me about work stuff. And finally I was like, hey, John, I gotta let you go, brother. Like it is pandemonium over here. And it was like, cool, no problem. We pick up on the phone probably 25 minutes later, and it's like we had never left off. It's like if you had told me he had put a pin in it and hadn't said a word in his car and was just waiting like one of those old like cartoons you see where it's like the moment he opens his mouth again, it all just comes back out. Like that was 100%. We got back on the phone. We hadn't missed a beat. So yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate assessment there of your boy.
Yeah. He does it with me. Like I said, 4:30. You could literally set a clock to him. I know I get up at 5 a.m. every morning. I know when I wake up, there's going to be a text message from Johnny. And a lot of it is stuff that's going on. He keeps me organized with the show. If he wasn't on here, like helping out, like I would be like, I have to record when do I get when do I get but he gets everybody that's been on the show. Johnny has found. We've had two-time middleweight boxing champion Kelly Pavlik on the show.
Yeah, he told me that
because he ran into him in a bar, and he was just like, "Hey, I help out with this podcast." And next thing you know, I'm talking to Kelly Pavlik.
So cool, dude.
WBC middleweight champion,
right?
And I'm talking to the man. I always say I'm a slapdick comedian from the middle of Ohio, and born and raised in West Virginia. That's still considered an up and comer after doing 13 years of comedy. And I'm talking to Kelly Pavlik on a podcast because Johnny ran into him at a bar.
Right, right.
I mean, the man isn't afraid to talk to anybody. He goes on Instagram and just finds people's pages and just starts messaging them about, hey, I run this podcast. We're looking for guests. And just the most random people on the planet come on, and I don't know how he does it. It's like, dude, I don't know how you do it. One, with work, life, you're expecting your first child on the way too as well. You know, you everything like that. I mean, I imagine it's going to slow down a little bit when when the baby comes, for sure. Knowing what being a dad myself, knowing what it is and that, but yeah, it's just Freddie's awesome, and he's the numbers guy too as well. Like you can ask him any stat from any era of any sport, and he knows it right off the top of his head.
No kidding.
It's insane because like when we have like our roundtables and our sports roundtables, he's just spitting out numbers. It's like, where did you come up with that number? And he's like, I just know the information. I try to fact check him. I try to call him on his BS. He's right every time. And
he does come in. He will come in the office talking about different trivia questions. Like he was out here talking about which quarterbacks had been in 5 Super Bowls. There was only a certain number of them. He had come up with another one too. Like he just, and it's not like this was an established bit, No. It's just out of nowhere. He's like, hey, I bet you can't. And it's like, dude, what are you talking to Webster right now? Like, what do we got going on here, man? Like
a wealth of knowledge. Anything. He's the numbers guy. Everybody that comes onto our round tables, when he says something about numbers, they're all just like, oh, here we go. What do you got for us, Spitty? Like, you're going to blow our minds with these numbers. And we're just like, he's right. 100% of the time, he's right. And we don't know how he does it, but love him for it. With that being said, with BW, I know we're getting down into the spring season and that, and then we're going to be looking for new. So why should students choose BW first and foremost? Whether they're athletes, musicians, or just a regular student, why is BW so special to you guys?
Yeah, I don't know. I think the big thing I would tell you is, what was the name of that sponsor of yours to start the show? Web Western. Something caught my eye about that because you said it was no BS, right? It was for people who like to get their hands dirty.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is BW. I think BW is a school of opportunity, right? I think this is for a guy who worked or whose parents worked in, education, local education, and in manual labor, right? Like this is the type of place they would have worked to send a guy like me to school. I joke around, we're in the OAC, and this is, standing for Ohio Athletic Conference. But I said that acronym really should stand for only allowing calluses, because if you don't have calluses on your hands, right, this is not a place for you, because you got to work for it, right? Like this is a place you go and pull your sleeves up, and you got to be willing to get it out of the mud. But it is also a school that's known. They say this is where excellence meets affordability, right? And I always tell, I've done some research, right? So I started to get into the origins of the place, and it was founded by John Baldwin, and it was started in part because his mom was denied entrance into university. You talk about early 1800s. It's really uncommon for women. It's safe for few opportunities to be able to be admitted into school. So he was a pretty successful quarry owner here in Berea, and they specialized in sandstone. And he had done well enough, right, that not only from a financial standpoint, but from a quality standpoint, he had brand recognition. Essentially, the sandstone he had exported was used for grindstones, used in mills, industry, everything like that. And they didn't want it, right, in the steel mills or wherever else. They didn't want the sandstone grindstone unless it came from Berea. It was known as the Berea Standard. And that all came from John Walton. It was literally the Cleveland Standard, the Berea Grit is what they called it. Well, I think about how that ties in, right? So what's he do? He goes and establishes his own university with, the idea in mind that regardless of race, religion, credo, background, socioeconomic standing, right? I don't care who your dad is or who he worked for, anything of that nature. This is a place of opportunity for you to come and better your life, right? And so I think that those two things really matter to me, because if you are looking for a standard of excellence and an opportunity upward, you find that here, right? And so, I say this isn't for everyone, right? But it can be for anyone. And what I mean by that is, right, is like there are BW folks, and there's folks who are maybe akin or attracted to other institutions for whatever reason, right? But we feel like, we have OKGs here, our kind of guys. And it's the type of guy who wants a better way for themselves in the world, but also they appreciate the grit, right? Like going through things to grow through them. It is less about what I gain from an experience, but also what I become by it. And that's what BW offers you. I think that this isn't just textbook learning here. This isn't just, a lecture-based learning experience, right? Like they get the kids out into internships. They get them out into alumni networking opportunities. They do all these things to get them out. At the end of the day, a degree is nothing but a piece of paper that said I did it, right? It's a receipt, certificate of completion.
Yeah.
It's what you do with it that matters. And I think that we do a better job than anyone. And truthfully, regionally, we're tops. We have a 97% job placement rate, right? It's like, why do you go to college anymore? It's because that all the data shows that you have the chance to exponentially increase your earnings over the course of time with a college degree in tow. Well, okay, you can go to school just about anywhere. So it's not just a degree you're after. It's not only the experience, right? But it's connections, it's opportunity, it's the quality of education as well. So we feel like we package that all up into one, neat, experience. And to me, right, that's what separates us. The national average for that job placement stat is 85%. Well, we're outperforming the country by 12%. So to me, like, you talk about why and why us. Well, I would think why anyone else, because I think you can't get this anywhere else, so that'd be my take. I mean, you look at it too, it took me 12 minutes to get from campus to downtown Cleveland, right? And still yet you don't deal with any of the problems in being near a major metro area. We're the top 10 safest campus in all of America, so small school feel, big city backdrop. I mean, I don't know. I think all those things, and let's be honest, I've said this a million times, so I get really good at it, but I'm also passionate about it because I think this is one of the best places I've ever worked amongst, the decade in college football I've spent. So that's a big reason why.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that for BW and everyone that's there. I love a shameless plug that you just gave to one of the new sponsors too as well. Like let's talk about that for a minute. And as you can see, we have that up where their logo is a big W. You know what I mean? And yeah, no, this was just going back to them and kind of tying it into that. It's why I was excited that they wanted to come on with Web Western. My father was a steel mill worker from the time he was 18. He just recently retired. Steel mill worker. My grandfather was a steel mill worker. So have that in my background, and anybody that's not afraid of that hard work, I want to align myself with them in any way that I can, because I lived it growing up, and I got a college education because my dad said he wasn't going to have me be the third generation Bonaventura in the steel mills. Because he kind of saw what was happening with the steel mills, obviously, with a lot of them being shut down right now and everything like that. But we're not here to talk about that. But he wanted, I guess, better for me. But those people that aren't afraid to roll their sleeves up and get dirty and like you said, have calluses on their hands. Like, are you even working? That's
Right.
That's just how I grew up, blue collar. If your hands aren't calloused, like, did you really put in a day's work? My dad, I mean, he makes fun of me all the time when I talk to him every week because, I'm in working customer service and everything like that too as well. I'm a comedian too as well. And he was just like, I tell him, oh man, I had a 12-hour day. He's like, that's cute. I remember my first part-time job. You know what I mean? Like, so, I get the comedianness, honestly, because that's just how we grew up. If you weren't, going along with the joke, you were the butt of the joke.
Sure.
Family growing up that way. So, but yeah, just I love that for that. And a lot of, I don't want to say not a lot of people know about BW, but I don't think the right people know about BW, and I'm here to put that on blast and let people know that it's a great institution to go to. I know a lot of people that are there, and align myself with them too as well, especially with how we grew up, and you, Steve, and Johnny, and them all there too as well. So you can't go wrong with that university, in my opinion. But
no, I agree, man. I agree. I'm glad to hear. I think, like you said, man, anyone and everyone will tell you that what makes any place special is the people, right? But I think that hopefully this pod, right, gives you a living, breathing testament of that.
Yeah, I hope so too as well. For your guys' sake, and I hope it helps you out too as well. But Ethan, we are running down near the end of the episode. I do need to get this last segment in here because if I don't, as you know, the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone, won't let me hear the end of it. And that is the Fast Fitty five random questions from the wonderful manager of the podcast, Johnny Fitty Falcone. These are, for the new listeners out there, these are kind of rapid fire, but you can elaborate if you need to. And I gotta tell you, Ethan, most of these have nothing to do with what we've been talking about for the better part of 45 minutes here. So
I can't wait.
If you're ready, here we go. Question number 1. What's a cooler nickname for a starting 5 basketball team?
Cooler nickname. Like I'm coming up with one?
Apparently, he ended the question there. Normally we have options. He ended the question there.
Oh man, I think of I love WWE wrestling, so I think something of the Fearsome Five or something. You'd have to have something like that. What was Triple H and Batista and all those guys? They were the Evolution. Maybe something along those lines too.
Okay.
Once you get really rolling and notorious.
Uh-huh. Question. Oh, okay. I missed the part of the question there. You came up with one. Let's go back to that one. Cooler nickname for starting 5 basketball team: the Thunder from Down Under or the Wrecking Crew?
Ooh. This has to be for some intramural basketball team he's participating in. Let's go Thunder from Down Under.
Gotcha. Yeah, I did. I completely missed that part of the question until I started to read down more. Yeah. He sends these to me day of when we're recording. I don't get to see these and prep myself for these until we know we're recording. So this is we're reading these for the first time together.
Right on.
Question number 2. What's harder, hitting a home run in baseball or scoring a goal in hockey?
Oh, well, normally I'd say baseball. Hockey presupposes that you actually have to be able to skate. You could stand up in the box, and who knows, if you get enough swings and cuts at it, you might just accidentally connect with one. I don't think you will, but even just being able to support yourself, it's like swimming, right? You know this.
Yeah.
Swimming, I think it's like, well, you can't just go in there and not do anything because you'll drown and die. So I think it's got to be hockey probably.
I would agree with that. I'm a huge hockey fan, big baseball fan, bigger hockey fan. Hockey is just those athletes are just unreal. That is an athlete.
Yeah.
I mean, a hockey player. That's an athlete.
Yeah.
Question number 3.
Big game tomorrow. Big game.
Oh,
US Canada.
I can't wait for that game. I'm setting an alarm because it's at 8 a.m. I'm setting an alarm to wake up to watch this game. Righty. Question number 3 here. Would you rather eat a grapefruit or a bag of cherries?
Cherries all day. Not even close.
Yeah, I'm not a big grapefruit guy myself either. Question number 4. Are sticky notes overrated or underrated?
Underrated. I've got about a million sticky notes. I could use them as office decor.
My boss tells me all the time. She's like, look at your desk. It's like, yeah, this is organization for me. It's organized chaos. I know exactly where. Don't touch it. Don't touch them. I know exactly where it is and what I need to do. And last but not least, question 5. What was your favorite CD growing up?
Ooh, Country Grammar, Nelly.
Ooh, was not expecting that. Not gonna lie to you here, but that's a great one for that one to end that one. And that was the Fast Fitty 5. I gotta say, Ethan, he took it a little bit easy. That first one, I mean, I screwed that up 1,000%. That was on me. But yeah, he normally has like weird fighting questions, I'll say. If you listen to the last episode, which was the round table, we started off with would you rather fight 50 emperor penguins or 1 coyote in a racquetball court? That's normally the questions we get with the Fast 55. And it's,
Wow.
Yeah, he comes up with the most random ones. And for the new listeners out there, the way we came up with this segment is Johnny normally would just send me these questions text message wise, like just randomly throughout the day. And it was just the thoughts that went through his mind is just like, all right, you're in a racquetball court. It's you, Conor McGregor, Batman. You got a road flare, a boxing glove, and something, and a bow staff. Who comes out alive? Like that. Those were kind of like the questions that would roll through his head. So I was like, what a fun way to kind of end the episode. What if we just rapid fired these questions at people? So
I loved it. I'm telling you, that's a great way to go.
that is, and I got to tell you, Ethan, I do give every guest this opportunity at the end of every show. If there's anything else that you want to get out there that we didn't get put into the show for you, whether it's for BW, anything else that you got going on in your personal life, or even if it's just a great message that you want to give out, I'm going to give you about a minute, and the floor is yours.
Oh man, that's a tough one. No, man, I'm just going to tell you, I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show. For all of your guests and for all of the folks listening, I think that this is a special place to be, that being BW. And we love to get anyone and everyone out for a game. If you're looking for a place to call home for the next 4 years and, make your way out in the world, not to mention be a part of a program, something bigger than yourself, right? You talk about Jim Tressel as a notorious alum, Anthony Kendall playing in the NFL for the Cleveland Browns. I mean, I think that there is like we talked about, Fitty has layers, right? BW's got a lot of layers too, man. And I think that when you look at who you are and what you want to be in this world, BW can help you not only find that, but shape that along the way. And I welcome any conversation for anyone looking for a place to call home, whether it's your siblings, children, relatives, whoever, find a way to get in contact with me, myself, Steve Thompson, Fitty, and, we'd happy to tell you spread the gospel of all things Yellow Jacket, man.
Absolutely. Looking for big things from you coming this upcoming 2026 season out of the football program. I do follow them. I'm going to follow them even closer now that you're on the show. We appreciate you coming on the show, Ethan. And with that being said, that is actually going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank my guest again, Ethan Nichols, for joining the show. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you didn't. That's going to do it for me. And I will see y'all next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by W Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rock it on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.